Okay, ladies and gentle dudes and children of all ages, I've been meaning to read some more Gosho for my YouTube video people, and now I got a whole lecture hall over here. Looks nice, doesn't it? No, but anyway, I wanted to read The True Aspect of All Phenomena, which I think is one of the greatest writings of Nichiren. He wrote this on Sado Island to Sairen-bo, who was a Tendai priest before. He wrote some of the greatest writings to him. And whether he ever expected this to go out to everyone, who knows. But I'm going to go ahead and read most of it. I'll see. Maybe I'll come back. Maybe I'll do a 1 and 2 on this one. So this is on page 383 of the first volume of the writings of Nichiren Daishonin. Okay. The True Aspect of All Phenomena, written by Nichiren. Question. The Expedient Means chapter in the first volume of the Lotus Sutra states, quote, "The true aspect of all phenomena can only be understood and shared between Buddhas. This reality consists of the appearance, nature, and their consistency from beginning to end." There's ... between that. That's the 10 factors of life. End quote. What does this passage mean? So he obviously was a priest of Tendai sect, and this was a big teaching in the Tendai school, but he still had wanted more clarification on it from Nichiren's point of view. So answer is, it means that all beings and environments in the 10 worlds, from hell, the lowest, to Buddhahood, the highest, are without exception manifestations of Myoho Renge-kyo. Myoho Renge-kyo is the title of the Lotus Sutra, or the wondrous law of the Lotus Sutra teaching. If there is an environment, living beings are bound to dwell there. A commentary states, quote, "Living beings and their environments always manifest Myoho Renge-kyo," end quote. Another says, "The true aspect invariably manifests in all phenomena, and all phenomena invariably manifests in the 10 factors. The 10 factors invariably manifest in the 10 worlds, and the 10 worlds invariably manifest in life and its environment." And, quote, "Both the beings and the environment of the Avicii hell exist entirely within the life of the highest sage, Buddha, and what is more, the life and the environment of Vajrayana Buddha," I can't say that name right, Vairoshana Buddha, "never transcends the lives of common mortals," end quote. These explanations are precise and clear. Who could have doubts? Thus, the entire realm of phenomena is no different than the 5 characters of Myoho Renge-kyo. So the law of the universe exists in all aspects of life. That's the 3,000 realms existing in a moment of life. Ishinin Sanzen. Even the 2 Buddhas, Shakyamuni and many treasures, in performing the function of the benefit of the 5 characters of Myoho Renge-kyo, manifest themselves as the 2 Buddhas, and seated together in the treasure tower, nodded in mutual agreement. No one but Nichiren has ever revealed teachings like these, though Tiantai, Miaolo, and Dengyo knew about them in their hearts. They never put them into words. They went about their lives keeping this knowledge to themselves, and there was good reason for this. The Buddha had not entrusted them with the task. The time had not yet come, and they had not been the Buddha's disciples from the distant past. Only superior practices, boundless practices, and the other foremost leaders and guiding teachers among the bodhisattvas of the earth can not only appear during the first 500 years of the latter day of the law and spread the 5 characters of Myoho Renge-kyo, the essence of all phenomena, but also give concrete form to the ceremony of the two Buddhas seated side by side in the treasure tower. So the concrete form is the Gohonzon, which is the ceremony in the air in a depiction or in Chinese characters. The reason is that what they are to spread and give concrete form to is none other than the teaching of the actual 3,000 realms in a single moment of life in the lifespan chapter of the essential teaching. Okay. Therefore, the two Buddhas, Shakyamuni and many treasures, are Buddhas who are functions of Myoho Renge-kyo. It is Myoho Renge-kyo that is the true Buddha. So we often call Nichiren the true Buddha, but in here he's saying that it's actually the people who chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo in the Latter-day Law are all true Buddhas, which we'll go on to say. But he's saying it in terms of the law, it is the title of the Lotus Sutra, that is the true Buddha. They're just functioning as provisional Buddhas, he'll go on to say. This is what is described in the sutra as, quote, the thus come one's secret and his transcendental powers. The thus come one's secret refers to the entity of the Buddha's three bodies, and it refers to the true Buddha. His transcendental powers refers to the function of the three bodies, and it refers to the provisional Buddhas. A common mortal is an entity of the three bodies and a true Buddha. So he's saying a person, you and I and every common mortal in the latter day, we are true Buddhas. A Buddha is a function of the three bodies and a provisional Buddha. In this case, though it is thought that Shakyamuni Buddha possesses the three virtues of sovereign teacher and parent for the sake of all of us living beings, it is not so. On the contrary, it is common mortals who endow him with the three virtues. So this is totally revolutionary. This is written on Sado Island, and he says in one of his writings that everything he wrote before Sado Island was an expedient means, and this is his true teaching from then on. So now he's going on beyond anything any person wrote, that we are all true Buddhas. The thus come one is explained clearly in Tendai's commentary as follows. The thus come one is a general designation for the Buddhas of the 10 directions and the 3 existences, for the 2 Buddhas, the 3 Buddhas, the true Buddha, and provisional Buddhas. The true Buddha here means common mortals, whereas provisional Buddhas means the Buddhas. They're provisional because they exist for that time being in what they were supposed to do, but common mortals now in the latter day of the law are true Buddhas in that they can reveal the truth that is Nam-myoho Renge-kyo that we chant. However, because of the differences between ordinary people and Buddhas that stem from the disparity between delusion and enlightenment, ordinary people are unaware that they are endowed with both the entity and the function of the 3 bodies. All phenomena in the sutra refers to the 10 worlds and the true aspect to what they actually are. The true aspect is another name for Myoho Renge-kyo. Hence, all phenomena are Myoho Renge-kyo. Hell's displaying the form of hell is its true aspect. When hell changes into the realm of hungry spirits, that is no longer the true form of hell. A Buddha displays the form of a Buddha, and a common mortal that of a common mortal. The entities of all phenomena are entities of Myoho Renge-kyo. That is the meaning of the true aspect of all phenomena. Tendai states that the profound principle of the true aspect is the originally inherent Myoho Renge-kyo. This interpretation identifies the phrase true aspect with the theoretical teaching and the original inherent Myoho Renge-kyo with the essential teaching. You should ponder this interpretation deeply in your heart. So, what is he saying? He's saying that the true aspect. Okay, this interpretation identifies the phrase the true aspect of all phenomena, the true aspect with the theoretical teaching, and the originally inherent Myoho Renge-kyo with the essential teaching. So originally inherent means it's always existed within us. We've always been Buddhas from time without beginning. That's what original inherent means. So once we realize this by chanting Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, we are the true Buddhas. Although not worthy of the honor, I, Nichiren, was nevertheless the first to spread the mystic law entrusted to Bodhisattva superior practice for propagation in the latter day of the law. I was also the first, the only Bodhisattva superior practice is so empowered to inscribe the object of devotion, the embodiment of Shakyamuni Buddha from the remote past, is revealed in the lifespan chapter of the essential teaching as many treasures Buddha, who appears when the treasure tower chapter of the theoretical teaching was preached, and of the bodhisattvas of the earth who arrive with the emerging from the earth chapter. Though people may hate me, they cannot possibly alter the fact of my enlightenment. So some of the schools of Nichiren, like Nichiren Shu, they call him Nichiren Shonin, which means they don't think of him as enlightened. Although Shonin is an honorary title you give to a priest. Daishonin is what we use to give him even more honor. And it's because of his writings like this that he's saying, though people may hate me, they cannot possibly alter the fact of my enlightenment. So he's the only one who's enlightened to this idea that we're all common mortals, we are true Buddhists. And he starts off this paragraph saying, although I'm not worthy of the honor. You got to understand the Japanese culture. I lived there for 12 years, so I kind of understand a little bit of how you never want to boast about yourself in Japanese culture. I'm sure it was even more so back then. Everyone's super humble about talking about themselves, so no one would say, I'm so great, and especially when they're talking to another priest who was a longtime priest of the Tendai sect, and he's trying to teach them, and he became his disciple for a while on Sado Island. He's trying to be as humble as possible, but then he says, but you can't dispute the fact that I'm the only one who's written and talked about this so far in the latter day of the law, so I must be that person superior practices talked about in the Lotus Sutra. Therefore, to have exiled me, Nichiren, to this remote island is, I believe, an offense that can never be expiated, even with the passing of countless kalpas. A passage from the Simile and Parable chapter reads, if I were to describe the punishment that fall on persons who slander this sutra, I could exhaust a kalpa and never come to the end. On the other hand, not even the wisdom of the Buddha can fathom the blessing that one will obtain by giving alms to Nichiren and by becoming his disciple and lay supporter. The sutra reads, quote, the benefits he gains thereby will be such that even the Buddha, wisdom, could never finish calculating their extent. So he's telling Sairen-bo that if you become my disciple as you are, your blessing is beyond calculation. Nichiren alone took the lead in carrying out the task of the bodhisattvas of the earth. He may even be the one of them. So here he goes, being humble again. I might even be one of them, but you know, this is part of the way Japanese talk. They don't want to boast about themselves. If Nichiren is to be counted among the bodhisattvas of the earth, then so must his disciples and lay supporters. The sutra states, quote, if one of these good men or good women in the time after I have passed into extinction is able to secretly expound the Lotus Sutra to one person, even one phrase of it, then you should know that he or she is the envoy of the Thus Come One. He has been dispatched by the Thus Come One and carries out the Thus Come One's work. Who else but us can this possibly refer to? So he says we are envoys of the Thus Come One, but at the same time he says we are true Buddhas. When praised highly by others, one feels that there is no hardship one cannot bear. He's saying this to Sairen-bo because Sairen-bo is also in exile for whatever he did. There's not much known now about him. Such is the courage that springs from words of praise. The votaries born in the latter day of the law who propagate the Lotus Sutra will encounter the three types of enemies who will cause them to be exiled and even condemn them to death. Yet Shakyamuni Buddha will enfold in his robe those who nonetheless persevere in propagating. Heavenly gods will make them offerings, support them with their shoulders, and carry them on their backs. They possess great roots of goodness and deserve to be great leaders of all living beings. Thus extolled by Shakyamuni Buddha, many treasured Buddha, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in the 10 directions, the 7 reigns of the heavenly deities, and the 5 reigns of the earthly deities, the mother of demon children, and the 10 demon daughters, the 4 heavenly kings, Brahman, Shakra, King Yama, the gods of the water and wind, the gods of the sea and mountains, the Thus Come One, Mahavrashanya, and Bodhisattva Universal Worthy, and Manjushri, and the gods of the sun and the moon. Thus praised by all these honored ones, I, Nichiren, have been able to endure countless harsh trials. When praised, one does not consider one's personal risk, and when criticized, one can recklessly cause one's own ruin. Such is the way of common mortals. So all those different characters, most of those are on the Gohonzon, representing all the different aspects of life and the 10 worlds. Now, no matter what, strive in faith and be known as a votary of the Lotus Sutra, and remain my disciple for the rest of your life. Although he ends up abandoning his practice, he did become his disciple on Sado Island, and for a while after that, I believe. If you are of the same mind as Nichiren, you must be a bodhisattva of the earth. And if you are a bodhisattva of the earth, there is not the slightest doubt that you have been a disciple of Shakyamuni Buddha from the remote past. The sutra states, quote, ever since the long distance past, I have been teaching and converting this multitude. This multitude is all the bodhisattvas that come up from the earth, which in Japanese is called Jiyu no Bosatsu, bodhisattvas of freedom, but we call them the bodhisattvas of the earth because they rise up from the earth. He says he's been teaching them from the infinite past. So he says, you're one of them and I'm one of them. There should be no discrimination among those who propagate the 5 characters of Myoho Rengekyo in the latter day of the law, be they men or women. Were they not bodhisattvas of the earth, they could not chant the Daimoku. So this is, once again, where Nichiren Buddhism is so different than any other form of Buddhism is there's no discrimination between priests or laymen or laywomen or nuns or any other thing. There's whoever chants Nam-myoho Renge-kyo is a true Buddha from time without beginning, as this Gosho so clearly states. There's no rankism at all in this Buddhism. And that's because in the Lotus Sutra, the historical Buddha said, I made a great vow to make all people equal to me with no distinctions. At first, only Nichiren chanted Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, but then 2, 3, and 100 followed, chanting and teaching others. Propagation will unfold this way in the future as well. Does this not signify emerging from the earth? At the time when the law has spread far and wide, the entire Japanese nation will chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo as surely as an arrow aimed at the earth cannot miss the target. Now, whether this ever happens, I don't know. I know there's lots of people in Japan from the 12 years that I lived there that are so afraid of Nichiren Buddhism, especially afraid of the Soka Gakkai, and my wife is one of them. So if she ever chants someday, that'll be like a miracle. If she even lets me chant in front of my daughter, that'll be a miracle. But anyway, we'll see if that ever happens. But I don't think it's necessary that everyone chants Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, but as long as enough people realize their true worth as an infinite being from time without beginning, then that's enough to awaken other people to their infinite potentials too. Even if they don't understand that that comes from Buddhism, it's okay. Okay, should I go on? Let me see. I've read about half. I'll read the other half tomorrow. Maybe I won't have this whole lecture hall over here to listen to me, but anyway, hope you enjoyed my lecture hall. I'll talk to you guys next time.